What up, what up, what up? Happy Tuesday, day.
Okay, that was a lot.
This echo after Lord, it's my signature now.
I mean, the Happy Tuesday already was, and the what up.
You know, sometimes you need. It's like when 50 goes and he changes a song to Power with him and Trey Songz. You know,
and no one liked it.
That's what I did. I added a little bit of flavor, but everyone likes it.
Okay.
Oh man, what is going on, everyone? I'm Shadell, co-host of PagingTheSimpsons. I'm joined by my lovely wife,
Lauren.
I feel like our mics. I'm gonna say this while we're on air. I feel like our mics are low for me, or headsets are low.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was right.
A little bit,
Bro,
but like
I was right. I turned it down way more than I thought.
Okay, Nope, that was too loud.
I think it's perfect where it is. Unless you're gonna be shouting in my ear.
Well, maybe.
Great. Then you need to hear how loud you're shouting in my ear. Are we ready?
I'll be kind to the audience.
Okay. What is going on, everyone? Welcome, new listeners, old listeners, returning listeners, young listeners, still stuck in the coronavirus listeners. What is going on? Yeah.
Okay.
What? So we have a lot of things to cover.
You know, you can just do a simple hi, everyone.
There's a lot of things to talk about. And again, we're trying to stay clear as we inch closer and closer to the election, to stay away from talking about Trump or Biden. We're just gonna steer clear of that. But I do want to talk about, you know, topics around in that sphere, in that space. You get what I mean?
Sure.
She's like, I don't care. So, this past week, Ice Cube was getting a lot of heat on him working with Trump with his contract with Black America. And it's essentially what he did a few months back was put together key points that he would like to see done for Black people. Nothing, as simple as it is, nothing, like when Black Lives Matter was not a political thing before Trump made it be one. Like, as simple as it is, it's just being like, you know, Black people need help, and it's what Chris Rock has always said, where, like, you know, once Black people are taken care of, everyone's taken care of. Mm-hmm. Like, in that simple of a sense, because once you take care of, like, the group that's oppressed, then it's like, everyone's all set. You don't have to continue, you know, all these things. But I wanted to touch on this because I thought it was super interesting. Now, before I get into it, just to give everyone backstory on it. So everyone was upset that, oh man, Trump and Ice Cube were working together. And then Ice Cube came out and he's like, everyone's trying to, you know, share, like, put on their whole narrative and all this stuff. And I guess essentially how he outlined it was, both campaigns came to him and wanted to, you know, hear him out on what he had to say. And at the very simplest, Ice Cube was like, I just want to work with whoever's in power. When he was talking with Joe Biden and his team, they were like, they'll see what happens after the election. Okay, cool, because, I mean, to be fair, they can't really do anything, so there's not really much for them to talk about. Fine. But Trump and his team were like, yeah, we could talk. And I guess Trump has this platinum plan. And essentially, they took a lot of points that Ice Cube made in this contract with Black America into that platinum plan, you know, giving Black people more jobs, different things, stuff that, you know, probably isn't going to happen, but we're not going to harp on that part of it. But I wanted to just kind of go over this and have some commentary about the points he has made.
Okay.
So, if you guys want to find the website, it's icecube.com/a contract with Black America. There are dashes in between, you know, where you would normally put spaces at. The website opens up saying, this contract with Black America was designed to start the hard conversation. It was made to be perfected and debated. So please add comments and suggestions so we can create a better contract with America that will help create a better and more perfect union. Digging it? Like the presentation?
Okay.
I tried loading this up on my phone and it was not working out. So, yeah. So, I'm not even going to touch on the representation. The introduction. We're just going to hit the first one, representation. And he's saying a bill to guarantee black opportunity and representation. He wants to adopt a plan of Reconstructionism to redress past wrongs systematically imposed on the black Americans economically throughout many generations that have resulted in a wealth gap, where the average white family has 10 times the wealth of a black family. In addition to some of the economic initiatives listed below, also formally apologize to the black Americans for past discrimination and slavery. Additionally, black opportunity and representation will include affirmative action in schools, public and private, per student funding in states on equal basis instead of paid by local property taxes, black representation on all government civil rights bodies, civil rights classes mandatory in elementary schools, gerrymandering reform, additional polling places in black and minority neighborhoods, Juneteenth to become a federal holiday.
Are you intending on reading the entire paragraph?
No, I'm not. I am not indeed. I just wanted to start off. I'll probably just give I'll probably give a quick blurb as I'm going through it. But I realized after I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to read all that.
Yeah, the whole podcast would be all of this.
All right. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I don't see a problem with it.
Bro.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Bro. Okay. Here's one thing that I find interesting that, I wish would change, where your local property taxes go to that school.
Yeah.
So if you're in a poor area, that school is not really getting properly funded.
Yeah.
Versus there are some wealthy places in Connecticut, and I'm sure those public schools are doing really well.
Right.
Of course, the private schools are.
Right.
So that's one of the ones.
Yeah, there should be like an average within the state.
They were doing it the way Ice Cube's proposing it. It should be per student. So based on how many students you have is how much you should that school should be funded.
Yeah.
Because I mean, why should a school that has a cap at 200 kids, get to have all this money versus a school that is in a lower income place not really get funded that well because they're in a lower income area.
Yeah.
One thing I hope happens, and we said this a few months ago, Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with that. We have all these different federal holidays, some of which as kids, you just think are dumb, you don't really know much about, or it's I mean, we still have, now this year, people were going back and forth. Some people were still calling it Columbus Day, and some people were calling it Indigenous People Day. We still have that. That's always going to be there, probably. So I feel like this is just kind of the other side of that. I
don't know. I can see Columbus Day going away over time.
Yeah, but even if it did, it would still be now Indigenous Peoples Day. Yeah. So it's still a day. So I'm just saying, I think this is the other side of the coin, though. If we can have a Columbus Day, this is literally the other side.
To touch on another thing you said when it comes to representation, there should be black people in all government civil rights bodies, and I feel like the same thing goes along with women.
Everywhere.
I never understood why pretty much old white men make the choices for women and what they should do with their bodies.
Preach.
It really that logic never made sense at all. How are you gonna tell me what I should and shouldn't do?
Because what it comes down to is controlling us. It's not about birth control. It's not about babies. It's about controlling women. So at the end of the day, of course, it's men making those decisions.
Of course.
But hate it. We hate it here. So so I agree. Black people, women, diversity needs to be everywhere across all platforms. I mean, it comes to the point of how long is this gonna take? You know, I think every year that goes by, we're like, it's 2018. Why are we still doing this? It's 2019. Why are we still doing this? It's 2020. Why are we still doing this? Mm-hmm. I feel like every year you say that. It's, you know, you always say that as like a comeback to somebody when they're like, well, and you're like, it's 2020. Like, come on, wake up. We're not in the 50s. We're not in the 30s, you know, whatever. And, yeah, I mean, that's across all platforms. All types of people should be everywhere. In entertainment, in politics, in, you know, ownership roles, and, you know, leadership, and all everywhere. I don't.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. But that's a whole other conversation, because then there's the pay gap and there's all that other wonderful stuff. So, yeah.
And so Ice Cube has a bunch of other things here. I'll kind of just run through some of these points, like lending reform, making sure that Black people are able to open up, you know, loans and different lines of credit and getting the same rate that white people have, which is, again, something that shouldn't have to be said.
Exactly.
Federal funding of baby bonds. He wants Federal Reserve and government pensions for qualified Black Americans. Finance oversight. Like, there's a lot of things. Data, personal data and credit. That is interesting. Prison reform, judicial reform, police reform act, of course, FCC licensing, which is interesting because it says broadcast networks will be required to air Black produced content equal to 20% of the total content of the networks as measured by time. Like, that's
crazy.
That is interesting.
You're only asking for 20%. For you to have to like ask that is a thing says it in itself.
You know what's crazy with Netflix putting these for lack of better words, these Black shows, because you probably didn't watch them. Shows like Sister Sister, Moesha.
I watched Sister Sister. What do you mean? I loved that show.
Moesha. I think Nicole. I think the show's called Nicole. With Nicole Parker, like the Parkers. There we go.
Didn't watch that one.
Like these shows, you know, if they ever are able to afford, you know, Will Smith and Martin and stuff to go on, but like, what shows do you have in this time or like in the last 10 years that like are really that like can hold up to what was there back in the early 2000s, late 1990s? Like, there's nothing that's like solidifying. It's like, yo, this is like a show. I mean, maybe Power if you really want to put it in there, but
Power and Empire.
Yeah, I don't know. Empire kind of fell off for me, but yeah.
I mean, yes, entertainment wise, but it was still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, there needs to be more. Like, I don't know why that's not a thing. Confederate monuments and institutions. He wants the elimination of all the statues, or displays, flags, pretty much all that stuff. Renaming all streets.
Confederacy.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
No, you didn't even say. You just said statues and monuments and flags. So Confederate statues, monuments, and flags, to be specific.
He wants to rename all streets, schools, public structures, etc., named after Confederate soldiers or leaders. A memorial will be built in Washington, D.C. to victims of police excessive force.
Interesting.
Like, essentially, as I read through it, right. As I run through this, I'm like, a lot of things a lot of white people probably wouldn't agree with because it's changed to them and they're not going to like the change. And
because it's focused on Black people because they're not included.
But it's like,
that's where people start to get defensive.
You know, one of the things I thought was cool that I always wanted to see, and it's a sad moment, of course, but I think it's somewhere, where is it, Germany or somewhere, where they have like, it's like monuments of all the Jewish people that were killed or something, or like some type of like structure. I forgot what country is it. I feel like it's in Germany. And I always wanted to like see that, and like, yeah, that there should be something. And I know there's some type of like museum of sort in like Alabama or South Carolina But I don't really feel comfortable going there, especially when you have a senator that's like, yo, you can feel safe coming here if you're gonna be conservative. Which, I mean, how do you tell what, like, a black person that's conservative? Like, do I have to wear a Trump hat so you don't?
Well, it's kind of
kill
funny.
me?
He called black people out specifically about that because I'm sure there's plenty of white people that are not conservative that would go to that state. But that's different. Okay, they wouldn't want me there. No, I find that interesting because the memorial, I mean, if you think about it, it's the same thing as what you do. Like, how many World War I and II and Vietnam War and all those were like memorials are there throughout the country, really? Because I know where I grew up, there's a memorial at the town hall, and it had like the people on it, and I think it had my grandfather's name on it, I think is why we would go there. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of those. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, people will argue it's not because they'll be like, oh, they went to war and they did this for us. Okay, but like the people here didn't do anything to deserve that treatment. Similar to the Holocaust stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't do it. They didn't do something as bold as going to a war willingly and all that, but they certainly didn't deserve that death. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. I did something a few months back when this was like a hot topic of like going to like all the high schools that are in like the local area and like typing in the names of the schools and seeing if they like owned slaves and trying to like understand that past. Because yeah, I think even a school somewhere in Connecticut, I forgot what town it was. I'm sure there's several. They changed their name to something different. A couple schools have changed like their symbol from being like the Indians to something different, of course.
There was one where I grew up that changed its name like a few years ago, but apparently it changed its name because then they were honoring like, I think some principal or teacher that passed away. Mm-hmm. And that's why because it was only named after the town, so it wasn't something like controversial before, but then they named it like a person's name. Yeah. So I mean, it happens all the time. It's weird for a few years, but then you get used to it.
Yeah. Now he says I don't know any like this that well, but it's the adoption of AGP, a public and private program that provides access to jobs and education and or training for people willing to put in the work and commit, which is great because, again, instead of putting black people in jail, or since the focus is on black people, I'll say black people, focusing on putting these black people that need jobs or need to get off the streets or whatever the case may be, getting them the education, getting them the training, then putting them in their jobs into the careers that they hope to be a part in, and just again, if you want to make America great again, it's helping the people that are in America that are trying to make it just like you. Like it's really that simple. The last one, number 13, being Black responsibility. To touch on this briefly, because it's a paragraph here. He says the chronic poverty creates an atmosphere full of negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. These are some conditions that plague the black community, which is dealing with extreme generational poverty. So it's essentially just making, from what I'm seeing here, how would you explain this?
That basically, as things start to get better, it's saying that they will also like clean up their act, and they will dissolve any bitterness in their hearts for past wrongs, is what it says. So like it is being open to, if things actually do change, then it's your responsibility to move forward with that, instead of the holding over the head if things are changing finally. So I think that's where it's going.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Because
so it's like, okay, you agree with this, and we'll agree that like it's like a sense of like reparations in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, for all the time that we've wasted, the 400 years that we've wasted on this earth, it's like, give me this, and then we'll move on.
It sounds like a relationship. Like, okay, so someone who has maybe been cheated on by their partner, and then you chose to stay with the partner and work through it instead of leaving. Okay, so if you're going to work through it, if you see your partner changing and, you know, taking accountability and not cheating again and like all the different stuff, then it's like your responsibility to not bring it up forever and to move on forward, like with your partner in the future and in their changed behaviors. So that's how I see it as.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, I had to touch on that because I thought that was like really, really dope and interesting. Ice Cube was on the Red Table Talk for maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago, and I thought that was a really good conversation. Because it was him, Van Jones, and I believe their nephew on it. And that was really interesting. Very eye-opening and just everything. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, I'm keeping it all black, which is Megan Thee Stallion put out an op-ed the past week about why she speaks up for black women. She did the whole thing with SNL, which it was like a really great performance. Called out Daniel Cameron because of his whole thing with Breonna Taylor, and yeah. So I'm going to, if I can see your phone, I'm going to play. If you can go to like the notes and go to the Twitter link, and then I'm gonna play like this quick like minute of like this video that Meg put out that went along with this to kind of touch on it. Like, man. All right. Let me see here. All right.
What does it mean to be a woman of color? She's gotta be strong because that's just the expectation. Loving herself, but not too much because then she's conceited. Being his lady in the streets, but his freak in the sheets. Inheriting her grandma's love, but always loving the wrong one. Twerking for her man, but not with her friends. Being constantly told she's too much or not enough.
The most disrespected person is the black woman.
Constantly having to prove she's a victim because society sides with a man. Not being able to express her traumas because she can't show no weakness. Is constantly told that she's too dark, too thin, too thick, too much of a bitch. Being murdered, beaten, abused, then questioned if she evoked all of it. Is left out on the street, but becomes the flower that grows from the concrete.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
She marches for everyone else, riots for everyone else, dies for everyone else. She loves everyone else, lives for everyone else. But when it comes down to her, it ain't a in sight.
The system as a whole has failed her. You've never been shot. You don't know her pain. Say her name.
18.
So yeah. So I thought that was very powerful, and like all this talk and like just what has transpired over 2020, and that's told you this off air. Damn, you yawning a lot. You like over here being like, this is boring.
I'm tired. I worked today.
Guys. But yeah, it has me like, dog, down the road, if we ever have a daughter, like, man, that little girl will have so much love. Because it's like, not that you wouldn't love your kid, of course, but it's like focusing on the sensitive areas that like you hope you don't miss as a parent, and just being open to the conversation and all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I always thought, like, when it comes to parenting a girl in general, it doesn't really have much to do with race, but things like, I wouldn't want to make all like those comments that, usually moms make, but like really either parent can make, of like when it comes to weight and stuff like that. So whether it's like, oh, you're too thin or you're too heavy, or like, do you really want to eat that? Or like all the different sayings, because like weight is clearly a huge stressor for women. It's a huge pain point because of how much it's ingrained in us that it like makes us who we are. Like you have to be a certain look, and yeah. And it's like, and it's exhausting because obviously trends change. 20 years ago, we were all about the big boobs and having no butt, and now it's gone the opposite way. And like, so trends will always change, but at the end of the day, it's like, I want my daughter to know, as long as you're healthy, you're good. Like, I'm not going to just make all those like little comments and little demeaning like remarks, because those kind of things stay with a girl. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, they stay with anybody, but like girls are just beaten on like verbally by everybody, society, magazines, music videos, movies, schoolgirls, like everybody. And like, it's exhausting, and it shapes you.
I would love to, even though I don't see this happening, who knows, I would love to like have either one of my sisters like come on and like share their thoughts on how it is to be a black woman in America, because I feel like that'd be so, like, that'd be an interesting conversation, as like two great women that I know that are like pushing through life and like doing their best to like succeed in whatever they're trying to work through. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm kind of curious, even though it would probably bother me because of whatever issues or challenges people have like put in front of them because of their race. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be such an interesting conversation to have. Yeah, but also upset me. I'm like thinking, that'd be so cool, but I'd be so upset if my sister told me something crazy. I'm like,
you'd get up, you'd be like, who am I fighting?
Like, but yeah, it's just making sure you're aware of things. Like, yeah, mm-hmm. It's as I'm starting to realize, and you start learning more and more. Like, again, we already know that people in the world are just like, we're all broken in some way. And then when you sit back and you like understand why someone's broken, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's, man, I'm not sure if I'm able to like explain what my thought in my head is.
I mean, we've all been shaped in some way. We've all been bullied in some way. We've all been demeaned in some way.
Yeah, but okay. Like, I think I may have an idea of where I'm trying to head. Yes. But I get what you're saying with the weight thing. But
well, I just brought it up because she mentioned that in one part of it.
But like, here's one thing. It's like, I know it's common now, but back in our younger days, probably like in the 2000s, early 2000s, early like 1900s, 1990s.
1900s? Wow, we're really old.
Like, black baby dolls weren't really a poppin' thing. Like, you didn't have a Doc McStuffins. Like,
I love Doc McStuffins. That is such a cute show.
I've never seen it, but
it's. I mean, I don't watch it by myself. Like, okay. I watched it with kids I nannied, but it's like, it's a wholesome show, and yeah, like the little black girl is the main character.
But like, I don't know. Like, I was just saying how they have like, there's a brand called True Color Bandage, and you don't realize, like, yeah. We have a bandage to put on to heal you when you trip and fall or scrape your knee or whatever. But having the same bandage that's the same color of your skin is like, oh, this is for me. Like, there's one for me. And it's like, the bandage heals you physically. This is a quote from like the little like news video I saw earlier. Like, the bandage heals you physically, but the color of the bandage heals you mentally. Because I was like, yeah, I never really rock with that. But there's nothing you could do about it.
Well, it's the same as I was telling you how I'm tired of like foundations in makeup and like it'll be called nude, but it's a light color.
Yeah.
And things like that where like nude or naked or like any of those kind of things that would allude to skin automatically mean a light shade though. And it's like, well, that's not what you look like nude. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, you know, there's certain shades that I think over the years some brands have improved upon. Some are still not. But so there's that. And then you saw the thing on the crayons, how like they made 32 shades from like super light to super deep and like everyone in between. And I love how they brought an actual makeup artist in to help with that too, because obviously, like, you know, Crayola, like they make crayons, it's not like skin tone stuff, so like they actually got an expert to help with like undertones and make it very diverse. And something like that I think is huge. I think those kind of crayons are so cool.
Yeah, and one thing that was mentioned in that video was like, you know, as like for us, for example, and other people, as like different races are mixing and shaking it up. Like, you know, my siblings, for example, we're not all with our significant other isn't black, which no shade. It's just you love who you love type thing. Yeah, it's just interesting because like, okay, that those 32 shades, who knows? They may end up being a 64 pack. You know, 5-10 years down the road, as we start to grow and become more inclusive of each other. So I thought that was really cool.
Well, we're essentially creating different skin tones.
Yeah.
With all the blending that's going on. You know, it used to be all, you know, white on white, black on black, Asian on Asian, like all it would be mostly within your own race. And now it's, I mean, there's all sorts of, it's like a math problem when they're like, how many variations would this be? And if you take every single race and you combine them with like the other race, how many times? It's like, how many outcomes would that be?
Yeah. So,
and it's just going to keep going. So I like that though. I like with the crayons that kids, they don't even see it. Like a white kid could use a black skin tone crayon and like make and draw color in like a black face, you know, little person on their paper or something. Like I think that's the cooler part is kids are curious. They won't necessarily just stay with, hey, this is my skin tone and I'm only going to use this one. So if you give them like the box of the 32.
I don't even think as a kid I've never shaded with black, like the literal color black. I probably used like the one brown they give you.
Well, yeah, I would assume that. Right.
But now it's like, and this is, of course, you would hope schools like, you know, more so younger schools have like this additional box or two or whatever for kids to have that choice to be like, oh, there's a box and I put my hand right against the box and I could pick, you know, what color is for me.
That's cool.
And all that stuff. Like, that's really cool. And like, dog, after seeing that, I'm getting tempted to just go on Amazon and see if I can find that and buy it and just hold on to that for a while and be like, I got this. Like, it's not for me to use, but it's just, you know, whenever that time comes, I got this. Like, it's just I
even remember when I was a kid, there was like one beige color too. It's not like they really had skin tones because again, they were like colorful colors. And I remember that the beige always made me look like orangey because it was just, I was lighter and I didn't have that undertone. And so like, even me, it's like, that's kind of cool that there could be like a shade range that's like basically super, super light to super, super deep.
Yeah.
There's that box of crayons has more shades than some foundation lines. That's what's sad.
And that's where you come in to change that.
Yeah, well, Rihanna already did that, but
that's where you come in to work with Rihanna and change that.
Oh my god, could you imagine? That would be so cool.
So again, we're keeping it black, man. I didn't realize this when I was putting together the show notes, but it's happening. So next, I want to give an update on the story that literally happened 5 months ago, but it feels like a year ago with Amy Cooper. She was the white woman who called 911 on a black birdwatcher.
It does feel like a year ago. I can't believe that was May.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So this is the lady back in Central Park. She was like strangling her dog, trying to talk to the dispatcher, saying this black guy was threatening her when he was literally just standing there like, I'm just recording you. And so it turns out that after this, she called a second time and said that the guy assaulted her. And she could have faced up to a year in jail time, but instead the guy didn't even wanted to get to the point of her going to court. Super nice guy, but instead she's getting, what do you call it? She's getting community service. I'm not sure what the time frame is. I'm not sure if this article that I'm looking at on the Washington Post tells me the time frame of how much community service she has to do, but she got hit with that. And it's just
she
wild.
lost her dog, right?
I believe so. Yeah, the dog got...
Because that was another
thing. I think
thing.
she gave up her dog.
This was a twofer. Because it was like you had the unnecessary tying up 911 lines with this ridiculous report. And then you had like she was literally strangling her dog. She was abusing the dog. Like, you're joking, right? Yeah. So, like, if I was... Here's my thought, right? Because that's a small dog. If I was scared for my life, I would pick the dog up and run. I would not be like dragging it helplessly.
But she wasn't afraid of her life. She was gonna be like, I'm gonna teach this black guy won't go
I would
there
still
a lesson.
It doesn't make sense to me. The way she was like dragging this dog by the neck, by the collar. You either keep it on the leash next to you or you pick it up.
Bro,
I don't understand.
She was not thinking clear. She's a Karen.
Oh my god.
Just like,
but yeah, so like this is a twofer where it just really frustrated me.
But just like, for example, so I mean, all this guy said was like her dog had to be on a leash, and she got frantic and she decided to call the police. I'm gonna show this black guy, you shouldn't be talking to me like that. Like that's what I feel like it was. I feel like it was a way for her to assert that she has the power in this.
Talking to me like that. That's like,
because why else would you call the police?
But the audacity.
Like,
I don't get that. Talking to me like that. Like I actually said something offensive or wrong.
And the crazy thing is, that's the rule being in that.
Well, of course it is.
In Central Park.
I'm sure it is. Just like when you and I go to the trail, there's signs all over the place, and it says that your dog has to be leashed and that you have to pick up after it. Yeah. These are universal rules when you take a dog in public. I mean, it's your responsibility as a dog owner.
This reminds me of when we went on a walk.
Hard.
We went on a walk a couple of days ago, and we saw that lady drop like some tissues, and then like she picked it up only to then put it on the side on a fence.
Yeah.
And it's like...
It was weird.
You know what's going to end up happening with that? Like, it's going to end up getting wet or something. No one's going to touch it. Like, I'm pretty sure no one...
It's litter now.
...comes down to this trail to, like, clean up because there shouldn't be anything on here to clean up. Like,
right.
And I was kind of tempted to be like, you going to do something with that? But I was like, I'm black. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
And there's a trash can at the end of the trail.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
It didn't make sense. Unless
People
are
weird.
Unless you're just like, man, Corona's on the floor. I can't touch it.
Like, you already did.
Pretty much.
Like, it doesn't...
It didn't make any sense. But it reminds me of the situation where if I would have told this lady to like she shouldn't do that, it probably would escalate. So I was like, I'm good. You're like, man, I'm tired of this. I think that's... Oh, wait, I have one last thing. I don't have a relationship topic on this one.
What?
So I was trying to find one. Yo,
you letting the people down.
No, there was nothing good. I was like, what is happening?
People down.
Like, I try to find ones that are, like, silly but also interesting at the same time, and it was not happening. So... I want to get your take on this. This is not black related. We're talking about Billie Eilish.
What? What was that?
And people are getting on Billie Eilish because of her wearing a tank top as she was like leaving a store or something like that.
Yeah, I saw this. It was ridiculous. And this is exactly why she doesn't do that. She proved her point.
No, she just like she has little like sandals on. She's living comfy. She's like, hey.
She's all of us during Corona, so don't even start.
I'm just going back to my car.
Right? No, like, don't even start. We have all looked like crap this year. Come on.
So people were getting on her, and I'm like, I don't really understand. I'm confused. So, I guess I want more of your take on this.
Well, my first immediate thought as a woman is people are going to come for her because of her big boobs. And that's going to be like a thing.
How old is she?
I feel like she's, God, young, like 20 maybe?
Oh, on the search. 18.
Oh
wow.
My God. She just turned legal. Oh, this is this is problematic.
Is that why
people were talking about her body before she was legal?
Is that why she did the whole thing? Was it like a year ago? Maybe it was beginning of this year. I don't remember because time is just crazy.
I know, time doesn't.
Where she did the whole thing of like her body and like the thing because now she was like legal after that.
Yeah. Y'all are disgusting. Like, come on, an 18-year-old. But yeah, so that's my first thought as a woman is that there's going to be gross people about her, well-endowed bosom. And then the other part is I don't really know, to be honest, why people are making a stink of this. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
Like, just because you're not used to her doing that? But, like, do you think she always looks the way she... Do you think anybody actually looks the way they look all the time when they go out in public and they, like, put on an appearance?
So I'm curious.
Celebrities don't always look like that.
Since you're talking about her body, did she purposely wear baggy clothes so people wouldn't, like, get on her for her chest or anything like that?
I don't know, maybe.
Because I'm like, that's a curious thing.
I always heard that she wore the baggy clothes because she didn't want her body to be the reason that she succeeded.
I mean, she kind of came out of nowhere, to be fair. But
she didn't want that to be like more of, pushing her forward because you know how it is.
Yeah.
If you look like that, sure, you got more of an edge.
Because when did this video... I feel like this was beginning of the year. Oh, God. It came right in the air. Oh, this is...
May! Why does everything... Okay, hold on. Guys, we're in a time loop or something. God. Everything from May feels like it was, like, last year.
It feels like it was, like, February, January. Like, it felt like before Corona.
I think we're experiencing that. I've been seeing how, like... Basically, like, the trauma of Corona we went through is kind of coming up now because, like, you just push through and, like, you survive it and then you, like, feel it later. Maybe that's what's happening. And now we're realizing stuff.
Man. I didn't realize that.
Because, let's be real, April and May would just, no, you just block that out. April and May were, like, terrible months. Because that was when everything was just at a halt.
Yo, April for sure. April, you're just like, is this life?
It was both April and May for me. Because, like, mid-March is when it happened, and then end of June is when I was able to reopen. So, like, solid April and May were terrible. My numbers in my business were non-existent, and it was just, this is where we are. This is... Okay, so anyways... But yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I don't understand why it's a thing because obviously she's going to wear stuff other than what she like wears to perform. You know what I mean? Any celebrity has been pictured in like PJs or comfy clothes or whatever. They don't always have, their dress and makeup and all that stuff on.
See, my thing is I don't know what people expect when celebrities like go outside their house. Like
I could never. I couldn't because you're always expected to be on.
She was literally probably making a quick stop to somewhere. I don't think it says where she was coming out of.
It doesn't even matter.
I mean, it makes sense. Like if she's like, I'm gonna go hit up the local, store to go get some pancake mix.
Right, but it doesn't matter.
Like the body shaming part, I don't really understand because I'm like, okay, cool. Like I don't really understand that at all.
I don't get what's wrong with her body. I don't see a problem. So that's why my first immediate thought is always if you're more well endowed, like that's going to be the thing people focus on.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't understand.
You know what my thing is?
Like, it's not like she's especially heavy or thin or anything.
Here's another thing I'm starting to realize as I grow with the internet. I stopped caring what Twitter is having to fight about. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because like Twitter's like a echo chamber, or social media in general. It's like an echo chamber of just people that like haven't done anything or just making comments. Like anyone with any real life experience or time, whatever, they're not sitting here talking about what Billie Eilish is doing or talking about, you know, what this person is doing. Like, when was the time that you ever made a comment? Like, well, I mean, I was trying to say you probably would. I was gonna say, imagine we were just talking about Demi Lovato and her like whole relationship thing, and I'm like, would you sit there and be like she's posting on Twitter about her relationship? You're not replying to like what she's saying and being like, yeah, da 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 da, or you shouldn't be saying this or like, you know.
I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm just saying. I feel like Twitter,
yeah,
mainly, is a place of people
crazy.
that have not done anything, so they have nothing to do but time to sit there and just run off.
I don't do that. Especially not about celebrities, any of them. Like, right. I could love, you know, Taylor Swift or whoever, but I'm not over, like, I might once in a while, like, for example, I think, like, when her newest album came out or something, I might have tweeted something about, like, enjoying it or whatever. But, like, I'm not gonna, so once in a while, I'll, like, tweet something about a celebrity if it impacted me. But I'm not over here, like, obsessing over any of them. I don't care how much I like them. That's not life.
Yeah.
Like, real life is the actual people in your life. You know?
Yeah, and that's why I feel like Twitter is just people that, like...
Yeah, so what I'm getting from this is they were over-sexualizing the tank top because it was revealing, which is hysterical because... You know, you can Google any picture of Kim Kardashian with her actual boobs out. This was a tank top.
Yeah, but... That,
like, she was fully covered.
Yeah, but the thing is...
But because it's tighter, and because it's spaghetti strap, and because maybe... Is that, like, a bra a little bit or something? Like, come on!
The thing is, they haven't seen that, so... Yeah.
I know, but that's what's so annoying. That is what's so... Oh, my gosh. We act like we've never seen a woman's body before. You're kidding me, right? With the access to the internet and everything?
I have not. I've never seen a woman's body in my life. This is actually the first time. I didn't know a woman's body came with green hair.
Okay.
I didn't know a woman's body came with these stylish sandals that look like they came out of Orange Is the New Black.
And they were probably expensive because they're probably like brand name slides.
God.
No, literally, like, I love when celebrities wear like the most basic looking things, but because they're like the name brands, they're like, oh, $1,000 slides.
Dog, if I ever run into money, I name brands, what? You will not see me that. I'll get me some Walmart brand.
I know.
But yeah, I want to talk about this briefly because that didn't make sense.
So
to
that
me.
was dumb. That's it.
To be real with you, that's pretty much all I got on the docket for this week.
Wow, guys, he's letting you down.
I couldn't find a good relationship topic one. Like, it was just trash. I mean, if you want to talk, you talk about how great I am. Well, for this last bit of time we got here.
So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
I think you just talked super fast and I didn't catch it.
Well, you gotta listen better then.
Okay, can you like repeat that all?
No, it just, one and done.
Just like my life.
I mean, yes, we all have one life.
Alright, well, we're gonna wrap this bad boy up a little earlier, guys. I'm not even gonna mention the Etsy shop, but if you do want to check it out, wink wink, nudge nudge, the link is in the description. What?
I'm not gonna mention it, but I'm gonna mention it.
Yeah, doing really well. We got the pro. Screw it, I'm gonna mention it. we have the pro BLM, pro immigrant, pro sex worker,
pro-human,
pro-science, like pro-choice, like that shirt. It's been doing pretty well in the past week, so like that's dope. So check that shirt out. I feel like a lot of people like it. I really like that look of that shirt.
Yep.
So yeah,
I got it.
Yeah. On that note, guys, we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. It's been a great time with hanging out with you guys. Once again, my name is Shadell, co-host of Paging the Simpsons. I'm joined by my lovely wife,
Lauren,
and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace out.